Welcome in, golfers, to the Hot Golf Podcast, episode 11, or hole number 11, if you will. Last week we made the turn into our 10th episode, and now it's 11 on the Hot Golf Podcast and Conversation. Hot Golf, as you hopefully know by now, stands for Heart of Texas. That means that's our focus. Golf in the heart of Texas, 100-mile region, starting right here in Austin, Texas, where the 19th hole golf chat every week emanates from, right here in the heart of Texas. Around the great state, around the world, show emanates from Austin, Texas, the 512. The capital of the great state. I'm your number one T-Box host, Erin Hogan, also host of Game Time every weekday morning from 6 to 10 or 6 to 11 a.m. on 1027 ESPN Austin. As always, my playing partners this week and every week, an avid golfer for more than 50 years, is also the CEO and man in charge over at the historic Callahan's General Store, nearly 50 years, an Austin legend. They're a staple of Austin, still family owned and operated. Our third member, of course, Charley Wilson is our second member. Third member brings 3 decades of on-the-ground knowledge with the Austin golf scene, PGA Club professional, head of golf operations for the city of Austin Golf. He's our man, Steve Hammond. Guys, how are we doing this week? Happy Fat Tuesday as we record on a Tuesday coming off of President's Day. How are you guys?
Doing really good. Beautiful weather again. It's perfect time to play golf.
I'm ready for a dang hurricane tonight, dudes. Happy Mardi Gras.
Are you more of the jambalaya gumbo guy or the king cake or some banana?
I love it all, man. I love it all. Give me some of that king cake at the end. I'll take some achapalaya, jambalaya. I'll take some beans and rice. Throw some sausage in there. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I'm in. We have a very, very special guest joining us. Our fourth member of our foursome will join us coming up, and he's a legend in the city of Austin golf scene, and Steve will introduce him coming up. We're excited to talk to Jay Reynolds and really get some stories. Austin High Maroon, former pro golfer, and music, and kind of everything. Golf in Austin, Texas, live music in Austin, Texas, and the Austin golf scene, which is what the hot golf conversation is all about on a weekly basis here. But guys, let's run through some of the happenings in golf because there's news made today. But let's start with what happened last weekend on the golf scene. Colin Morikawa delivering a pretty incredible weekend of golf at Pebble Beach in the National Pro-Am there. A scintillating 11 birdie round of 62 on Saturday, only the fourth golfer, I think, ever in that tournament to have 11 birdies in a round. He did it on Saturday. And then Morikawa equally impressive on Sunday in those pretty harsh conditions. The wind was up coming off the Pacific Ocean. He finished at 22 under, stroke better than Minwoo Lee, Sepp Straka, Scotty Scheffler, and Tommy Fleetwood finished 2 strokes back. The world number one and former Longhorn again got off to a slow start Thursday. And at one point on Friday was 13 strokes off the pace, but charged up the leaderboard. 63 on Sunday, earns another top 5 finish. But obviously the story, guys, was Scotty, but also Morikawa, the 2-time major champ who put an end to his 3-year winless run. What did you guys take from the golf this weekend at the beautiful Pebble Beach? My thought, real quick, before Steve offers his, is that where was this game during the Ryder Cup? Come on, Colin. Come on. Apparently he refound some of his old magic and figured out how to get the ball in the hole fast on those Poana greens. But really feel good for him, though. Again, we've had strong players win so far this year on tour.
Yeah, I thought it was a great event. I was personally rooting for Akshay Bhatia. I enjoy watching him play. I think he's a great personality. Getting off, I think he started off to a 1-over front side start and could never really get it going on Sunday. Plus, he had that group of characters that's behind him that he knows at least one of them is going to break loose and really play some good golf. So I was disappointed for him. I got a text after Scotty finished his 7th hole, and he is 7 through 7 on Sunday. And I was like, I've done 7 through 7 before. I've just been 7 over through 7.
Yeah.
But this guy shoots.
Yeah, I know those numbers too, baby.
He shoots 63 with 3 bogeys. I thought that was really pretty cool. Big time international field around the top of the leaderboard with Minwoo Lee and Sepp Straka and Tommy Fleetwood. It's pretty cool right now to see all the international players that are scaring the top of the leaderboard every week.
And doesn't it feel like Minwoo Lee's about to be a star? Bhatia as well. There's some really good young golfers, but Morikawa, I have to say that 62 on Saturday was historically good. And then the shot he hit on 18, up into the wind, banana onto the green, and make a birdie to win it. I mean, that was, as Charley said, where was that at the Ryder Cup? But the off seasons where these guys try to find their game again if they've lost it and fine tune it and Morikawa, man, he's when he's going, he's as good as there is out there.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Totally agree.
He got his putter working. That 62 on that golf course, I just can't even imagine it.
Yeah, 11 birdies. Come on, man.
11 birdies. I mean, and not to dampen what Colin did, but okay, Scheffler, 3 eagles, and on Sunday to pull himself. I mean, he got through 18 and he was the leader in the clubhouse. It's like, oh my, what the heck is this guy doing?
Charley,
but
you've already predicted here on Hot Golf that he'll win the U.S. Open on that course next year, right? 2027.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
But what do you think's happening with Scotty in those first rounds? Where Phoenix and now this one, he's been the best player on the field. Well, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but even par and over par on Thursdays. Is that a concern, or is that this? He'll be fine.
Oh, he's going to be fine if he can still lay down those kind of numbers and bounce back like that and play marginal 1 round out of 4. He's still the best out there.
Yeah.
I think he's still asleep on those Thursday rounds or something. Maybe he had to take care of the kids late at night. He needs to see that doctor who's got the telling athletes how they need to take care of those kids and instead get their sleep for their highest expectation of performance and athleticism. Whatever that guy's name was, that clown.
Yeah, Joe Judge.
There we go.
The former Giants coach. Yeah, that was not a good on the stand too in the Trinidad Hubbard conversation. But there we go. So now the tour heads down the coast to LA for the Genesis Invitational Riviera. Second consecutive signature event, and remember they didn't play Riviera last year because of the wildfires, so they're back on that great course. And of course, the tournament's host created headlines today. Tiger Woods, when asked on him possibly teeing up playing at the 2026 Masters in April, if that's off the table, guys, the 15-time major champion replied with a kind of a wry grin, no. That Tiger Woods, who had his 7th back procedure back in October, he also had Achilles tendon surgery back in March. I don't know that he's going to play, but he said he's been cleared for full shots and is swinging, and he wouldn't rule out at least a try at the Masters in April. It's probably a pipe dream, but your thoughts, guys?
I think Tiger will get there.
Yeah, I think it's a great story. It will increase viewership. Everybody will be tuning in because of him and Scotty. They will put him and Scotty on opposite sides, opposite start times, unless they put them together. But the Masters will put him on the opposite start times because people will be tuning in to watch those two cats play.
But he, maybe of more important because we'll see. I mean, he might just be out there for put on the green jacket, be part of the Champions Dinner and all that come April. But he hasn't given a firm timeline on his return to competitive golf. But he, confirmed he's eyeing Augusta. But he says he's open. Sounds like now that he turned 50, as we talked about in a previous episode, that he is looking at the Champions Tour, the ability to play in a cart, something he would never do. He said on the PGA Tour, but since it's allowed and available on the Champions, Charley, something we've talked about, that maybe Tiger is going to tee it up and play some Champions Tour events here in his 50th year, his 5th decade of life, but 30th year playing golf on tour.
I think so. He just, he loves competing. He just can't walk away from it. No pun intended, but he just can't turn his back on competitive golf. He's, he's just so driven. And as much as the game needs him, he also needs the game. It's just too much in his blood. So if there's an inkling of a chance that he can compete, whether he, and Augusta National is not an easy walk. So, if he can figure out how to make that happen and then recover soon enough to start getting into the senior majors, which happen within, I guess the senior majors start playing in May. I think we'll see a lot of Tiger over the summertime.
Great to see him back and hosting the Riviera. Of course, Riviera, the site of his horrible car accident a few years ago after that tournament, and he'll be out there this weekend. Your thoughts, Steve, on the Champions Tour and Tiger, now that it sounds like he's confirmed that he's considering competing since he could be in a cart and he's getting back to full swing golf at this point?
I think he will definitely mix it in a couple of the majors this year. Maybe select a couple of the larger profile events. his desire to compete is going to, be a burr underneath his saddle for the rest of his life. But he also thinks he can win, and I don't know if he can win out there. If he is in a cart, maybe he can. But he will change the landscape of just like Jack Nicklaus did with the Legends Tour. He will change the landscape of the Champions PGA Tour without a doubt.
In a good way, for sure. Guys, real quick, on the Live Tour worldwide, how about Anthony Kim coming back and winning? What a story. Tiger talked about that at length today, just what a great player Anthony was coming out of Oklahoma. That was, equally as big a story, I thought, on the golf is just, a storyline from what we saw, Anthony Kim do down under versus what Colin Morikawa did at Pebble Beach. That was incredible.
Yeah. So, Steve-O, I'll say something.
Absolutely incredible. Anytime you can win a $20 million event.
Absolutely. I mean, the guys.
Anytime you can win a $20 million event, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got so much game. He always had game. He different route, and I'm glad to see him back in the winner's circle. I think so many of the players love that guy. They loved his spunk, his spirit. He's got a certain. He had a certain amount of back in the heyday. I remember he just had a certain amount of irreverence about him, but he also was just super respected by his fellow players. He was, kind of the guy that you wanted on your Ryder Cup team. He was that guy that that would go out and was a gamer. The night before he might tie one on real hard, but man, he'd come out there guns blazing and play just super golf. So feel really good for him. He's a good dude.
And in 2008, Anthony Kim beat Sergio so bad, so early in the Ryder Cup that he didn't even know he had won. He was walking to the next hole, and they're like, "Hey, you can shake this guy's hand?"
Good stuff from golf. And then again on to Riviera this weekend down there in Los Angeles. Good to see him back at Riviera after the year away and the wildfires and what went on. Before we get to our guests and bring on our fourth member of our round today, here episode number 11 on the Hot Golf Podcast. Steve, that's the world view. What's happening in golf? What's the city view? What's happening in Austin golf? February, the weather's been great, back-to-back weekends headed into the month of March. I know there's a lot of golfers getting out and playing a lot of golf.
It's crazy how much golf that is being played right now. Through the first 4 months, we were up 11% over what we were last year, and that's not all weather related. That's just folks getting out and playing at different times and later in the day. The golf courses overall, we're in really good shape. Golf courses around town, they're in good shape. I mentioned last week that I was at the Southern Texas PGA meeting with all the 200 golf professionals in the Southern Texas section, and we can't get over this train that we're on right now. We don't know where it ends. We definitely need more and newer daily fee, lower cost golf courses. The stuff that's going on the ground is not things that the four of us in this room are going to be able to be a part of there. But we have to have more golf courses in and around this area somewhere, somehow. But right now, golf is in the best position that it has been. It's back to being king. And, it shows like this. It's the work that everybody's putting in at our local golf courses. It's work that the agronomists putting it in, and it's keeping it affordable. That's what's going to keep it king amongst the sports. Pickleball, that's a thing of the past already.
Well, why don't you introduce, Steve, our next guest and our podcast, episode 11, fourth player and fourth conversationalist. He is a legend within Austin golf, the 512. Introduce Jay Reynolds to us. Who are we talking to today? There,
he is absolutely a legend within Austin golf. I came across Jay during his junior golf days around our city facilities in the mid to late 90s. Quite the player back then. His father is an incredibly accomplished player, Pete Reynolds as well. But Jay ascended to the number one ranked junior in the state of Texas whenever he was in high school. 4-year career at New Mexico State University. Played a little professional golf after that, and I want to get into that here in a little bit. Jay, what's that?
UNM, not New Mexico State.
Oh. UNM, sorry.
Lobos.
But
right.
played a little professional golf, and it's it's the same story as everybody else who's played that professional golf early on in their career. That it's just a hard grind. But after he got his amateur status back, he lit up the Austin scene and definitely was somebody that everybody took notice of whenever he showed up. I remember being at the scoring table when Jay brought in a scorecard that I had never seen before, and basically it was a 27 backside, 60 at Lions Golf Course during the 2015 City Championship, with a par on 10 and a par on 11. So, Jay, thank you for being here. We're glad you're here, and glad you can talk a little bit of Austin golf, because we know that you are pretty much the fiber of Austin golf.
Well, I appreciate the intro. Man, I tell you, I miss seeing all you guys more regularly. You know, I was playing a lot more before I had kids, and I know once they get a little older, I'll be able to play a little more. And you know, I pointed out, I know I texted you this earlier, but you know, I've won everything except for the firecracker. So I've got that on my radar. I got to get my game back up in good enough shape to compete with these kids. And I got to remind myself that Claggett didn't win his first one until he was 46.
I didn't know that till you texted me.
Unless somebody lied to me to make me feel better about that, which is, I guess that's possible. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to get a firecracker, get my name on the wall over there. I love Lions. You know, obviously I'm on the advisory board for Save Muni, and I do everything I can to support that place. I spent, you know, so many years practicing there and playing there as a kid and growing up. And I'm so glad to see its popularity, you know, keep growing. And, you know, I take my kid out there all the time, and also to the other city courses. And, you know, we do need affordable golf in Central Texas. And it's, you know, I love all these fancy golf courses because I know people that are, you know, fancy enough to take me out there, you know, once in a while, but they're not for everybody, obviously. And so, you know, yeah, there needs to be a little infusion of affordable golf. And I've got my Gimme Burger hat on. That's the food truck at Butler Pitch Putt.
Yeah.
I love what they've done at Butler. And, you know, it's just such a blast out there. And we need more of that kind of stuff.
Can you tell us about your walk around Butler pitch and putt on that day?
Well, I know you mentioned my 60 at Muni, but I do have my name's on the board at Butler with I shot 20 out there in the first, which actually tied Randy Petrie's record, but his record was before they redid it. So they've got my name on the board also because it was in competition. So I gotta, you know, I was playing a match in the Swing Easy Open, and I was playing against Billy, who works out there, and he was I think he was 5 under through 6, and the match was over. I was 7 under through 6 and closed him out. And anyway, yeah, you know, birdie, ace, birdie will get it done most of the time. And then I was going to walk my car, and Billy was like, dude, you got to keep playing. I was like, oh, okay. All right. So anyway, I kind of, you know, the match was over. I kind of let my guard down, and I just, you know, I hit 3 decent shots and had 3 good looks at birdie. I just didn't make them to get to 19. So I parred the last 3 for 20, which still kind of burns a little bit. But yeah, I love that place. I you know, just getting out there and, you know, with a wedge and a putter and zipping around, and I don't know, man. That's just, to me, that's how I want golf to feel.
That's pretty crazy. 11 golf shots in 6 holes. Did that even register with you after that?
No, it was a match, dude. I was just locked in on beating that guy. You know what I mean? That's what I love about match play is it just gets you so out of your own head. You're not thinking about score. You're not thinking about birdies or bogeys or anything else. You're just looking at that guy over there, and you're like, I got to beat him on this hole. And you know, you mentioned Anthony Kim beating Sergio real bad in the 08 Ryder Cup, and I actually played in 2000. I don't remember if it was 2000 or 2001, but Anthony and I were teammates at the Cannon Cup, which was the AJGA, you know, East versus West Ryder Cup thing. And after Anthony won, which I watched and just had tears in my eyes the whole time, I mean, dude, away from the game for 12 years and to come back and chase down Rahm and DeChambeau on a final round, starting five back. I mean, that's crazy. I don't care who you are, but to be away from the game for 12 years and, you know, his well-documented, you know, drug and alcohol struggles and all that, you know, my hat's off to him. But my dad sent me this picture of Anthony tackling me on the 18th green of the Asheville newspaper that they published when we won that, you know, the East-West Cup thing. And anyway, Anthony's a great guy. I'm really, you know, happy to see him making waves.
That's incredible.
That's awesome. I'm going to interrupt here. Well, this podcast has the potential to go big time. So we got a buddy of Anthony Kim. We have a guy who played junior golf with Phil. Robbie talked about Scotty Scheffler, and we have Ben Crenshaw's agent on here. We don't give ourselves enough credit. We know some folks.
You got some folks. Some folks.
Well, that goes to what the you said the fabric, Steve, of golf, but that's the 512, right? That's the heart of Texas. It's a small community. You guys have grown up together, and then the junior circuit. I mean, it's the family of golf, right, Jamie? You've seen it, and it spreads out, but at the same time, if you take it back to its epicenter, it's still a pretty small family of people that kind of grow up together and then root for one another.
Well, and you know what? I want to bring up another guy who is important, I think, to the local golf scene that you might not even realize. But I'll tell you a little bit of story about this poster. But this was Ron White, and he did these charity shows for the Kerrville flood victims, or for the fire departments down there in Kerrville and Hunt. And I got to know him when he moved to town, and I was just a golfer buddy. I'd gotten to know him through Monty Montgomery. He was a fan of Monty's, but he grew up playing at Lions, and nobody knows that.
No,
and so he grew up going to Lions. I've taken him out there to the Save Muni events. He's always lended his name and offered me tickets to donate and things like that. And yeah, sure, he's got all the money to go be a member at Driftwood, which is an incredible place. But he still has his roots right there at Lions. And he would tell me, he's like, oh yeah, man, we would just drive in and we could go play for $6 or whatever. And so you take a guy that's that famous and that has done that well, and he's still humble at heart and still remembers going to Muni and batting it around just like the rest of us did.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Hey, Jay, let me ask you about your upbringing. Steve mentioned your dad is a very accomplished golfer at Austin High, but number one ranked player in the state in the juniors. What are your memories of your younger years? What got you into golf and the passion for the game?
So I played basketball and baseball and everything else growing up, and when I got to Austin High was my first time getting really nervous on the golf course. And I remember the freshman tryout, and I had never, I was shooting 80 most of the time, whatever. I was okay at best. I think my dad probably thought I was better than I thought I was at the time. And I remember in the very first qualifier, we played the back nine at Lions. And I was so nervous, I could barely pull it back. And I blinked and shot like 32. And I played just great. But I was so nervous and so focused that, you just kind of got in that zone. And I remember the rush of what that felt like. And I remember getting done and turning in my card. And that 32 probably felt about as good as the 27 I turned in for the 60 when I handed that card to Steve, because I was just so proud of myself, And so I got the bug that it was like, oh man, I can really work at this. And I can, I played on the basketball team too, but I could shoot 100 free throws a day, but I may not be the one getting to shoot the free throws at the end of the game to win. And, one of the other guys who, I loved all my teammates there, but, they didn't work as hard as I did. And golf sort of scratched that itch of that competitiveness and within me I got to kind of reap the benefits of my own work. And I met Buck Mayers, who's the teaching pro at Escondido, and Buck was teaching out at Circle C and, or actually Balcones at the time. But, Buck and I, he was my first coach of any sort. And so he treated me like a professional. And that was something that really made me feel like I had, something to strive towards. But, I give him a lot of credit for motivating me. And, it was, I don't know, man, I just kind of got the bug. What can I say? And, my dad, who was, most people don't know this about my dad, Peach, but, he was a hanger-oner on the UT team back with Kite and Crenshaw. He was some sort of a 12th to 15th man type of a guy, never played in a tournament, but he got to play for free every day. And, he's got all these great stories about Kite and Crenshaw, when they were so good, nobody could even believe it, back then. And, but, he was just there kind of chasing me around and, no, Dad, you got to go get the car, turn the lights on. I'm not leaving until I make 100 3-footers in a row, and he's like, fuck, man, we got to go to bed. Wait, sorry. And so anyway, it was just that. And he rolled with it. And once I kind of got a little taste of some success at the junior level and, success breeds success. Once you can get your feet wet. You know, I remember going to play the first AJGA tournament I ever got myself into, and it was Hunter Mahan, Anthony Kim, I'm sure was there. All these guys who Ryan Moore, guys who are still out there, grinding away, and these guys were so good, it didn't even make sense to me. I remember watching Hunter Mahan play, and I mean, it was like he's hitting high fades to front pins, he's hitting low draws to back pins. I mean, it was like watching poetry. It was really a beautiful thing to watch. And I'm out there slapping it around, shooting 77, and thinking I'm doing all right. And so, by the time I got to my senior year, I remember beating Hunter Mahan head to head in Hilton Head at the MCI Heritage Junior. And it was like, oh, like that's the guy that I couldn't believe how good he was. And now I just beat him, which was, it was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Maybe I am pretty good at this game. Playing at Austin High was interesting because we didn't really have a competitive team. And, I don't know, I had 3 different coaches, and there wasn't a great culture around golf at the time at Austin High, the way that it is now. And, they've done such a great job down there. And, Tommy has done, I think, a great job. I can't wait to see that facility they've got just about finished. And, we didn't have any of that. We were just a ragtag bunch of hooligans, basically. And, I'm glad to see Manny Moe still working at Clay. It's cool to see him still in the game. And, but, I don't know, man, I kind of just had to go off and do my own thing when it came to school golf at Austin High. Because there was no appetite. There was no appetite for improvement, really. It was just kids kind of wasting time, and it didn't resonate with me. So, I'm like, no, coach, you can do whatever you want. I don't even care if I don't play in the tournaments, but I'm going to go work, I'm going to go work with my pro, and I'm going to go try to get on better courses, and I'm going to go try to push myself and play in national tournaments. And, I had to take that by the reins a little bit. And I'm glad I did.
So you went to University of New Mexico. That had to be a bit of a cultural shift for you from Austin.
I was familiar with, I wanted to go to UT, but Fields didn't have any money, and I didn't want to play. He offered me a spot, but I didn't want to play for somebody that wasn't invested in me. New Mexico was willing to give me, most of a full ride. It was 90 or 95% or whatever. And, they really wanted me, and it felt good to be wanted.
Good facilities up there.
Great facility. It was, Albuquerque is, I love Albuquerque. I love New Mexico. It was always, I had to get used to reading greens with the mountain effect and the valley. Everything broke so hard away from the mountain that you really could not believe it. So there was definitely an adjustment period there for me. And then playing at altitude, obviously the ball goes really far. And, but man, we had a great team. I had Spencer Levine and Charley Belgian and Michael Ledsig, who had his tour card for a while. And, we were in the Mountain West with Arizona and UNLV. And I mentioned Ryan Moore earlier, played a bunch with him. And, it was a pretty strong era for college golf, that early 2000s.
Yeah, it was.
No question. Steve-O mentioned the grind of trying to be a pro, and I mean, you had some back injuries and derailed some of your time. But whether it's been Robbie Ormond or Omar or any of these folks, I mean, it is, junior golf's one thing, college golf, but man, the pro circuit, trying to get there is such a grind. It's so difficult.
Man, it is. And you got to have excuses for not doing as good as you want. That's important. So, but no, my back started giving me trouble in college. I missed a semester. I was playing at University of Arizona's tournament, and my back was bumming out pretty good, and then I worked all winter, felt pretty good, turning into the spring, and I got through the 36 hole day. But towards the very end of the 36 hole day, I could tell something wasn't right, and I woke up the next morning, and it was like the third tee shot of the day, I just collapsed. And I mean, they had to cart me off. I couldn't walk. Yeah. It took me 3 or 4 months to rehab out of that. And then that was sophomore year, I think. And, you just, stuff like that. And then it cropped back up, and it's been a constant thing with my back. And, I had a good, healthy year in 2007, where I had about 10 months straight of just like, I felt great. And during that year, that was my best year as a pro. I won the Waterloo Open, which was, that was a big tournament to win, big check. Won it in a playoff. Got to second stage of Q School, got a terrible draw, and got caught in some shitty weather and missed by a couple getting to final stage. And it felt like I was right there at the doorstep. And then 2008 rolls around and I got tendonitis in my ankle and I couldn't walk for like 3 months. And I can't practice putt. If you can't stand, how are you going to putt? I was about 30 and it was like, man, I batted this around for a while, and I had gotten involved a little bit in the music world. And then, once I started working for Monty, and I always knew golf was going to be a part of my life forever. I love the game, everything the game has given me, and the people it's introduced me to, and the places it's taken me. I'll never be able to ever repay the game of golf. The relationships you build on a golf course, they last a lifetime. They really do. And, so I'm forever grateful for that. And, I wouldn't have the life I have now without it.
Awesome. Yeah. Jay Reynolds. Hey, Jay, listen, tell me, because you see the Willie Nelson, Ray Charles behind me.
Oh, yeah.
The live music thing. I mean, that's kind of the Austin thing. That's the heart of Texas, right? Golf and live music, whether it's Willie or Coach Royal or anybody. I mean, everybody. How'd you get into that? Monty Montgomery, such a talented guitar player.
So I was a huge fan of Monty, and he was my favorite guitar player, growing up and through high school and all that. And when I started playing well, and I was talking to him after a show one day at Saxon Pub. We were just, go say hi, get him to sign new CD or whatever, and we were kind of, he knew me well enough just from being at shows, but I was just a fanboy, and anyway, we started talking, and I was like, oh, I saw you're going to some city or this city, or he just got back from some tour or whatever. Cause he was also on tour, right? Like I was on tour and he was on tour, and we figured out that we ate at the same Thai restaurant in like 7 different cities. Which was really funny. We were like, oh, Memphis. Oh, dude, you got to go to this. He was like, I just ate there, and anyway, it was just like a really funny serendipitous thing. He was like, oh man, we should hang out sometime, and I was like, yeah, man, anytime. So we started just kind of hanging out, and within a couple years we were having lunch one day, and he was like, man, I need a new tour manager. And I was like, well, I don't know what that does, but I know how to travel. Is it, what does a tour manager do? And it was like, well, you just take care of everything on the road, and you're, deal with the venues, and you advance the shows. And I was like, all right, well, I'll figure it out, but yeah, sure. Let's go do it. So I did a run with him, and we did a weekend, just solo shows in the Northeast. And, we got done with the weekend, and he was like, I've never had more fun in my entire life doing music. Like, I can't believe how fun that was. It just felt like we were hanging out and having fun. And I was like, well, that's what it felt like to me too, So it was, I worked for him on and off for a decade. I've probably done, I don't know how many shows with the guy, but watching one of the guys who's been voted as the top 50 guitar player in the world, play every night, and I've seen him do stuff with the guitar that's just unbelievable.
Jay, how does music and golf translate to one another for you?
Well, for me, what I fell into in the music world is essentially caddying. Like that's what if you're involved in tour management with an artist, like, you're basically just caddying, so that part of it felt very natural to me. It was just like, no, you just take care of, you anticipate needs, and you take care of what they need. Like, that's pretty basic. And, sometimes it's emotional stuff, and, these artists they're artists, and they got a lot of feelings about stuff. I remember when, this is a left turn you're probably not expecting, but Monty, his daughter got murdered. And, I was ground zero for helping him deal with it, because I was there with him every day, and it was an unbelievable tragedy to anytime a parent has to bury a child, it's just, I can't even, now that I have kids, it's like, I can't even go there. It's an unspeakable thing. And to see how he dealt with that, wrote music about it, performed music about it, brought that emotional turmoil that he was experiencing, and was able to like distill it into something that was just so powerful. And that art is so powerful. And, getting to see that happen from, the very first notes and the very first words he wrote to how it ended up on stage. And, that whole process, I just realized like, oh man, like there's another power working through him to give us this art. Like, and you see that with the great creatives that exist in our world. And Monty's definitely one of them.
Did you ever go play golf with Monty?
I took him out to a casino. The only time we really played together we've been to the range a couple of times, but I took him to play at some casino. We were playing. He was doing a show in Oklahoma somewhere, WinStar or somewhere that had a course, and so we went and played 9. And I taught for a while. I like teaching golf, and I've played with a lot of rock stars and various musicians. I'm kind of like the golfer guy in the music world that people. Yeah. You're going to Austin, you got to call Jay. So I'll get these random calls from, real famous musicians that just want to go play golf. And I always take them out to Butler because that's just the most fun.
Oh, without a doubt. Who's got the game? Who's got the game in the music industry, in your opinion?
And I tell you that this Thursday, Dropkick Murphys are coming to town. They're playing ACL Moody Theater, ACL Live. And Ken Casey, who's the lead guy for the Dropkicks, he's a low handicap. He's really good. And he's, a little Boston guy, and he's a monster on stage, and he'll talk your ear off, and he's a trash talker on the golf course. And I've gone up and I've played the member guest with him at Boston Golf Club a couple times, and he's just unbelievable. But he's so good, and for a guy who he routes entire rock and roll tours around trying to get all 100. He wants to get all the top 100 Golf Digest golf courses. So I don't know if I'll get to take him anywhere this Thursday. We were going to try to go to Laura Loma, but I don't think they're open on Thursdays at this point yet. So we may have to wait till next time he's through town.
That's awesome.
But
that's a conversation podcast unto itself, the golf music. Is there a parallel, Jay, on, there are so many great musicians like Monty Montgomery. There are so many great golfers, and the line between breaking through and becoming big time it's fractions, right? As far as the musicians.
It's fractions. I think the thing that's really frustrating about the music world is it's so objective. You have to rely on what other people think of you to determine your success. And in golf's a pure sport. It doesn't matter what you look like or what color your skin is or what you sound like or where you came from or whatever. You shoot the lowest score, you win.
Yep.
And it's a pure sport. It's like running. It's just you play good, you takes care of everything. And in music, there's some of the best musicians we will never hear of ever because they just didn't have the right people around them, and didn't have the right booking agent or the right record label or Monty's sort of in that category. He had a guy managing him for a long time that did a lot of disservices to his career, in my opinion, and kind of kept him small enough that he could manage him instead of getting him with somebody that could really help him beyond what he could do. It was when I kind of got the reins with Monty, I tried my best to unwind as much of that as I could. But, people take advantage of artists, and people take advantage of anybody who has a lot of success at anything, I guess. It's not, that happens everywhere. But, I remember shaking down door guys, over cash I saw them put in their back pocket, and it was like, no, man, come on, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like we're playing for the door. Like I need the door. You know what I mean? Like, come on. So I don't know, man. Like to me, the parallels are that you have to master the craft, and it is the little things that matter. The best golfers have the best routines, and that's really what helped me in that world is like, no, I can create a system and a routine for somebody and make sure that it feels as much the same as possible every day. Because that's what you want as a golfer. You want to show up on the first tee. You want to know your quarters in your right pocket, your golf tees in your left pocket. When you should be able to close your eyes and reach in your golf bag and find a new glove or your snack or a golf ball or whatever. You want to know where everything is, and that way when shit gets cussed again.
That's cool.
Anyway, when the water gets hot in a tournament situation, you can rely on those things that are constants. Like we want to, in golf, to me, the greatest, the greatest frustration of all is the one thing you want to control, you can't, which is where the ball is going to go.
Yeah.
but you can control how fast you walk. You can control how fast you breathe. You can control what clothing you wear. You can control, if you need to stop and tie your shoe to calm yourself down. You can control your reactions. You can control, there's a lot of things you can control, and you should, if you want to be, and it's the same thing in music. Like you gotta, you want to keep your stage should be exactly the same every night. You know what I mean? Where we have everything marked and measured, and it's like, cool, the amp is here and the mic stand is here, the pedal board is here. And so every single night when Monty, walked on stage, he could close his eyes and he'd grab the cable for his guitar right from the exact same spot and plug it in. And he could just like stay in that flow without having to think about something. And, in golf, it's the same way. And that's what a good caddy does for a professional player. You guys are talking about Morikawa winning, which I loved that. I mean, one of my good friends caddied for him for his first 7 years as a pro. JJ Jakovac caddied for Colin for, all the majors and the first 6 wins. And so I got a lot of behind the scenes on Colin and what a good dude he is. And they're not working together right now, but, I know JJ still has a lot of respect for him. But that's what JJ was able to do for him, is just provide that stability of like, hey, this is a new world for you. You're coming out of college. You're a hot shot, but like, let's get to work and I'm going to teach you the ropes. And, Colin was smart enough to listen to him.
Awesome. Great stories. Steve-O, we got to get this guy the firecracker. What did you say? You have a baby and a little boy?
I got like an 8-month-old and a 4-year-old. And it's all hands on deck at home right now. I got to run home, cook dinner pretty soon here.
Believe it or not, he's playing such little golf right now in the last couple of years. He would have to be a firecracker qualifier.
Yeah.
We might be able to figure out a way around that.
I need to qualify. I need the competitive reps. Like, that's the thing. Yeah. I mean,
maybe so.
I played a little bit. I went out and played Laura Loma a couple weeks ago, and which is unbelievable, by the way.
Where is that? Will you fill us in?
Speaking of non-accessible golf to most people, but it's this new David Kidd course out near right by Barton Creek Lakeside and Lake Cliff, kind of out that way in Spicewood. And it's a true link style. It's unbelievable. It was so fun. It was so much fun.
Wall-to-wall Zoysia, isn't it?
Wall-to-wall Zoysia. They've got a par 3. You could use a putter if you want, and like literally putt it to the green, a little postage stamp thing. They've got some 600-yard holes. They got, it's cool. They did a great job. It's a you guys know enough people to get yourself out there, I'm sure, but it's a blast.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, I know you got kid duty and conversation. Anybody else have any questions for Jay? I think that was exactly that's the Heart of Texas Golf podcast right there, Charlie and Steve.
Yes, sir. That's
through and through, and it's live music. I love it. It's really good stuff.
It's great.
Yeah. It really was good to hear from you, Jay, and we'd love to have you back out and share some more stories with us.
I will anytime. Oh, and Charlie, I want to say real quick, one of my kids' favorite places to go is Callahan's.
Yes.
My dad, Peach takes him out there all the time to just go get whatever, and they'll go pet all the goats or whatever they got, whatever kind of livestock you got out there. He just loves it.
Well, good. Cool. I'm happy to hear that, and I'll look for them. We'll catch up on what the kids' names. We won't have to share it here, but I'll catch up that way. I love surprising the kids, knowing their names. There's a little gal who comes into the store about every other weekend, and her name is Charley. And so every time I see her come, I just kind of look at her out of the corner of my eye. She runs up and gives me a high five. She's about 4 years old. And then she just runs over and checks out the baby chicks and all that stuff. But it's we have a great time over there. And thanks for sharing. I'm glad your kids come over, and I'm sure their kids will come over too, as long as we're here.
Well, and Steve, I'll have Arlo out at Kaiser tomorrow after school. I'm going to take him out there, and I think 3:40 is about the earliest I can ever get a tee time anymore anywhere, it seems like, because everything's so crowded, which is fine. And it's still great. You go get in 9 holes and go run around. And so I can get a club in my hand a little bit, just to kind of keep the tools sharpened just a little.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're coming out. You're going to enjoy it.
Great name. All right. And awesome. Yeah. And we're about to have a day like spring forward, right? Where we get a little extra hour.
March 8th.
Thanks so much, man. This is awesome. Steve, thanks for arranging this. That's what we love about the podcast. Our 11th episode, meeting great people, great stories, and can't wait. We'll get you back, and we'll do some live music conversations. And
I got lots of good stories.
You need a fourth with one of these musicians, let us know. I'll run out and play, or one of these guys will too.
All right.
All right. Good deal. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. we'll sign off and be sure to fix your bunkers out there, folks.
Absolutely. Great episode. Appreciate it, guys.
All right.